Hi, I'm semeionaside, and this is blog number 1. I've been in my little studio tonight, and I've been tidying up the place and making it look a little bit better than it normally does. Wires everywhere still though. And I was listening to one of my first ever sets that I played back many years ago, and for those who know me, I sort of make electronic music, and for those who don't, you know, there's loads of stuff out there of mine. You just got to hunt about, spell semeionaside right, and you'll be fine. So yeah, I thought I'd show you around my little studio and show you sort of how I make what I make, and then I don't know. Then I can keep this thing going, maybe, and you know, work in progress, and you know, whatever's going on in my life, who knows. So yes, I'm still in all of my work clothes. Been a long day at the office. Normally, as Richard Doak, I'm a carpenter. Been laying an oak floor in a rather nice house today, and pleased to see that the chap in there uses Macintoshes. And when you see around my studio, you'll see there's a lot of Macintosh stuff going on. I started off many years ago, I don't know, sort of early 90s, making sort of rave. Showing my age now, but yeah, that was my kind of thing, and sort of the breakbeaty kind of piano-y stuff I really liked, and then it all sort of divided up into drum and bass and jungle and dark and light and all the sort of sub things, trance. And I kind of followed the kind of trance, techno, rave sort of thing. I liked the drum and bass, I really liked the way the breakbeats were being cut up and stuff, but I was kind of a bit of a raver at heart. Then I came across an album in I think about '93 by a subsidiary label, but it was on a label called Apollo, and it was kind of sort of ambient electronic music. And up until then, you know, the kind of odd rave record that I'd pick up DJing would have like odd B-sides that were kind of pretty cool and didn't fit in with anything that I was playing, but I kind of was drawn to kind of trying to push those sorts of tracks in, but I didn't know what I was looking for when I was going to record shops, and I didn't really know exactly what it was. And it would kind of grow into electronica. I know, you know, cliche, but Aphex Twin was kind of there making this kind of industrial techno, and then you make this ambient stuff. And I mean, fuck knows, I mean, I didn't know who Aphex Twin was, and I've picked up lots of his stuff over the years, but to be honest with you, he was just another name among the dozens of records that I would buy from record shops. And I grew up in Devon, and I'm now back in Devon after living in London for a while, but in Devon there was this kind of strong sort of techno tradition. The jungle thing didn't kick off here till a lot later, but even when the techno died sort of in the rest of the country, it still seemed to be Devon was like a techno place. I guess, I don't know, Europe and Devon really was like the techno place. And so yeah, this Apollo album, the first one, was just incredible. I just, you know, I thought, oh, yeah, that's what I want to make. You know, and I think, you know, some of the sort of quite well-known electronica guys use it, and there's quite a few other guys that were on those, that were recording on that label early on and making this sort of interesting kind of different kind of electronic music. So yeah, I picked up an Atari ST very early on. Picked it off of a tip. It only had 0.5 megabytes RAM, so to run Cubase back then I had to pick up another Atari ST off of a tip and scrounge the RAM out of that, make it up to 1 megabyte, which meant that you could run MIDI, which basically was just daisy chaining other equipment, but MIDI meant that you could kind of make electronic music. And listening to those guys even now, I still think, God, you know, they made some pretty amazing stuff with pretty basic stuff, and I kind of still hold that tradition a little bit. You know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in post-production, but at the same time, it's still kind of just this massive chain of MIDI stuff going on, loads of external synthesizers, you know, and then they're recorded into the computer, and then I start to fart around with beats and stuff. But yeah, very early on, I knew that all I needed was a basic sampler and a keyboard, and I could probably make electronic music that I wanted to make. And so yeah, the early stuff that I made was real ravey. You know, just taking one breakbeat and looping it and looping it and looping it, and just making a kind of nice tune over it. And then after they kind of heard the Apollo, I kind of moved. I sort of went with ambient and kind of wanted to sort of make some more experimental stuff. Yeah, even now I'm kind of still doing much the same. So with well over a decade of sort of churning out a similar sort of sound, I kind of venture into vocals a little bit. I've just completed my latest album, which is, I don't know, it is a vocal album, only a vocal album, because I promised myself, after always making electronic music and sort of toying with vocals, but not really wanting to write lyrics and the rest of that sort of stuff. Yeah, I kind of sort of said to myself, well, one day I will make a lyrical album with proper formed sort of lyrics, and you know, just still doing the electronic stuff but with some songs over it. So that's the latest album that I've just finished, Goodbye Wendy, and I'm kind of eager to crack on with the next one, but at the same time, you know, I'm still making electronic stuff without vocals, and always that sort of stuff sounds better to me than, you know, if I'm singing, because I don't know, there's nothing worse than hearing your own voice. And being a real sort of sado for music, you know, I listen to lots and lots of different albums and lots of different vocalists. You know, I don't know, if you know Tom Waits, and if you know your David Bowie, and you know Bob Dylan, and you know these guys that can kind of, I don't know, write amazing songs, and then you write yourself an album, and you kind of, you've got all of these guys at the back of your mind, but of course you're nitpicking various different tracks and not just albums as a solid. And of course albums, you know, there's always tracks you really like, and there's always tracks that are not so great. But when you're writing your own album, you can only remember everyone else's great tracks, and to then kind of hold that as your position of, you know, where you've got to come from, then it's really difficult. So I struggled to write an album vocally, but I have to say I hated it at the beginning, and I just thought, this is just something I'm writing for the hell of it. And then, you know, I sort of circulated it between friends and said, you know, I'm trying this out, and what do you reckon? And feedback was good, so I kind of started to sort of think, you know, okay, I'm starting to like this now, after hating it, dreadfully hating it. So yeah, it's turned out okay, and yeah, at the minute it's going to be on, you know, you can download it from iTunes, and I've already whacked out loads of the tracks for free on various places, you know, Last FM, and I've stuck some stuff on MySpace, and you know, so probably the best tracks of the album are already circulating, and probably wouldn't even need to buy the album to get those tracks. But